Guru Nation, welcome to episode 191. Is that better than expected since the last time we did it?
Yeah, actually. I would have guessed probably 188.
Who would have known? Who would have thunk that recording our teleconferences would come in handy for cheat days?
And make podcasts
out of nothing, out of something we're doing
done.
anyways, right? Just the editing was a pain in the ass. Okay, so this one we're talking about. Well, how are you doing, Chris Hopper?
I'm doing all right.
I will be going to Philly to do heavy biz deving for one day.
Yeah, sounds like not fun, but enjoy.
What should I do there? What should I to consider it a success? What do I need to come back with?
One of something.
Okay, but one of what?
Anything.
Break it down.
Well, you can come back with one new client, whether it be for our consulting services, for CRO, for anything. One new client.
Okay. One new client. Like one new CRO client?
One new CRO project.
Or one new client.
Sure.
Just somebody who has a site in Philly.
Sure.
Okay. What about a student?
I don't know how you'd come back with a student, but sure.
What about Site Owner Academy student?
More likely than a CRA student, but...
Yeah, I don't even know who the attendees are going to... I have to ask the guy, actually, so I can prepare somewhat.
Yeah.
What about selling the conference, like selling an exhibitor?
That would be good.
What about selling just a regular attendee? Like if we have our Kickstarter page going, which we'll explain to Guru Nation, actually, what we're doing. But if we have the Kickstarter for the conference up, which is my goal, then I can just send everyone to the link. And what I'm going to do is add that link under my email signature. I'm going to remove everything and say
so
Clinicon
very
19.
Much stands up.
Clinicon 19, get early bird discounts and great exclusive perks.
Well,
help us support now and just have that link. We're trying to reach 25K. Why don't you explain what we're doing to Guru Nation? And then I'll break it down too.
Well, you might break it down within 3 seconds because I really am not up to speed on most of it. So if I understood correctly from the developer,
conference planner.
Right, we need 60 minimum.
Yeah, but what are we doing?
60
people are listening, they have no clue what we're talking about.
We're putting together a conference.
It's called Clinicon.
At the Clinicon conference of 2019.
Clinicon 19.
It'll be in Orlando.
Not to be confused with Comic-Con.
Orlando at a 4-star, not 5-star. It can't be a 5-star hotel.
Right. Well, that was interesting. Why?
Because corporate execs, if I understood correctly, corporate execs have a problem with that. And I don't know why. I didn't catch that part.
I think it's the publicly traded companies. They have a fiduciary to the investors, so they don't want waste. But it makes no sense because they fly in corporate jets.
Sure.
I mean, whatever. But yeah, they can't stay at 5-star resorts. When they go on business trips or conferences, they have to go to 4-star.
Thankfully, there's not a whole lot of difference between a 4 and a 5-star.
They're virtually indistinguishable. A 5-star may have a spa or like something, pedicure.
It has one more amenity that the 4-star does not.
Yeah, like they usually do room turnover service
They
twice.
do a 4-star too? Oh, okay.
Twice.
Okay.
They do it twice.
Why that would be needed, I have no clue.
They do more. It's pretty cool, actually. I could get used to it.
I've stayed in 5-star hotels where you come back at night and they turn down your bed and they have
they bring you
beds or something on your pillow.
That's one of the differences.
Yeah, big deal.
I know. But for us, honestly, the prices are pretty much the same, but it's going to be at the Renaissance Orlando SeaWorld Resort. Knock on wood. If we can get our 25K minimum funding from Kickstarter, then we're putting this event on, and I don't think we'll have a problem selling it, but the question is, can we raise that?
In a short period of time.
60 days is the max Kickstarter allows you.
Yep.
60 days, you can't do more than that on Kickstarter.
Well, it almost works perfectly with what our cutoff time is for coming out of pocket.
So we're planning on doing a conference because and this was not the intention of this episode, but we'll talk about it a little. We think there's a need for a no bullshit type of conference in the industry. There's a lot of conferences. There's literally easily a conference a month, but I think there's like a conference a week in our industry.
And at these conferences, when questions are asked, you get a whole lot of
BS.
Well, like vocabulary diarrhea, right?
Yeah,
and nothing's answered.
Right. Let's throw around big terms like risk-based monitoring and risk profile and patient centricity.
Right.
Which means nothing. I mean, what are you actually doing for patients? So,
and the original question asked was never answered, typically. Right?
Yeah, and these people are so out of touch. They think a lot about patient centricity, but they think that one of the things patients truly care about is getting paid with like debit cards versus cash.
Right.
Which is stupid.
Right.
We've never heard a patient insist on getting a debit card payment.
If anything, the other way around.
So there's just a lot of detachments from real world practitioners, which is who we're attracting, and who listens to this podcast and who watches the videos, and ivory tower thinking.
Sure.
There's a huge gap, and the people monetizing that gap are building bridges. They're building like toll roads.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we're going to build a toll road still, but most of our lanes are free. It's like the 91.
Mm.
Our consulting services is like, and our videos is like the 91 freeway. We're just going to bombard you with content. It's all free. You can do everything we talk about yourself for free. But if you don't want to sit in traffic, you want to get home quicker,
Want to be prioritized.
take the fast lane, the toll road.
Yeah.
So right now, the industry is dominated by just toll roads, toll booths everywhere, and we have a 10-lane highway, and then maybe one of our lanes is a toll booth.
Mm-hmm. Fairly good analogy.
Right?
Sure.
I like that. Just came up with that right now. So that's the same thing in the conference world. You know, you got all these monetizing. Every single conference I've been to has one purpose, and it's to monetize the audience who's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And they do nothing in between conferences. I mean, they'll have like a webinar here and there, but really, it's all, the whole purpose of these conferences is to extract as much money as they can from the exhibitors and from the attendees.
Yeah.
Right? Mostly from the exhibitors.
But to be fair, even at some of those conferences, there is value.
Yes. The values in the networking,
Yep.
which you can argue you can do for free with like a meetup. If these conference organizers really cared about giving true value.
So they wanted to facilitate networking.
Yes. They would just have meetups and speed dates, but these are real, now that we've seen the money or the potential, like it's a real business, and we're definitely going to monetize, but that's not the purpose. Purpose is not to monetize, but obviously we need it to be profitable to continue doing it,
Right.
and then to attract new speakers. So anyways, that's coming. You're going to hear a lot more in the future. ClinicCon 19, stay tuned for the Kickstarter link. It will be on the Clinical Trust Guru blog. It'll be on the bottom of every one of my email signatures. So send me an email and I'll reply, and you'll see it, the Kickstarter page.
I'm curious about something that maybe...
Toll booth.
Maybe, no.
10-lane highway.
Kickstarter, because I don't know the answer to this, and some of
let's
your
pull it up.
audience members may be interested in the answer to this.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of one in particular that listens to this podcast and is in Florida.
Who's that?
I'm not going to say the name, but anyhow, it's a client that may attend.
So all of our clients better attend.
Well, especially if they live in Florida.
And all of our students.
Especially if they live in Florida.
No, I don't care where they live.
No,
we're going to get them perks. We're going to give them
sure, of
reasons
course.
to go.
If you don't live in Florida, it's a little bit more inconvenient.
If you don't live in Florida and you want to go, I may not be able to get you discounts because we partner with a event management company, but we will make it worth your while.
Okay,
with extras.
So with Kickstarter, let's say we attain 20,000, right? not
Yeah.
the 25.
Yeah.
So, and we don't proceed. Let's say we don't have the conference, right? For some reason,
Yeah.
right?
Because if you don't get the minimum threshold, you don't get anything.
Right. So, to those that gave their 20,000,
No, they get their money back.
Okay. They
Yeah.
do. Okay.
Yeah. And we get charged the fees that were incurred.
Okay.
Like Kickstarter makes you connect your bank account. So like any fees that Kickstarter has to do to refund the money, like 2% of every transaction, we will have to pay for it.
Okay.
So if we only get 20 grand, but we don't fund it, what's 2% of that? Like 200? They're gonna take from our account.
400, but
Yeah.
right.
It's fair. I mean, Kickstarter's gotta make money too.
Sure.
It's actually very reasonable for what they're doing. Okay, let's get, so Clinicon 19. Okay, let's get to the topic. We got a question from someone we're helping start a site. They're not a client. I actually don't even know why we're helping, but we're doing it. Oh, no, he's a former student. So he's a former student from the CRA Academy, but he really should have been in the Site Owner Academy.
Well, at this point.
Right, but he was in the CRA Academy, but now he wants to start a site, like many of them do. I would say about 10% of them.
Well, see, I don't think he could be in the CRA Academy because he's receiving government funding to
Yeah.
be in the class. And I don't think they would give the funding for you to start your own business, right? The funding is for the CRA Academy, which is
Right.
a job, right? To
Right.
help you get a job
Mm-hmm.
or a career in this case.
Right. But, okay, so he's a former student that decided, you know what, I kind of like what Chris and Dan are doing, and I want to start a site.
Yep.
So we spent like 15 minutes with a potential PI of his on a teleconference. What were your thoughts on that PI? Like, what were the objections? What were the questions? Because I honestly wasn't paying too much attention. So,
Well, I mean, one, I had an issue with how long it took for him to get on the call, right? He was supposed to be on the call at a certain time. It was
we
40
were
minutes.
holding for 15 minutes.
No, it's longer. It was 40 minutes. We held for 40 minutes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, no wonder I stopped paying attention. Okay.
That's why I was cracking jokes.
Yeah, you were.
So, but anyhow, so that was kind of a little, pet peeve. But his time's more valuable than ours.
But that should be expected.
But, I mean, yes, he's a doctor and he was seeing patients, so fine. He was a little too concerned about something that I think occurred, 60, 70 years ago in this country?
The Tuskegee Incident.
Right. And he still has a perception like that goes on today.
Yeah, where they gave African Americans in
Military.
Tuskegee, Mobile, Alabama,
Yeah, in the military.
they gave them syphilis
Intentionally.
intentionally. And
They
then
tested
they
a drug, right?
They tested a vaccine, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so but that incident was
Very unethical.
was back in World War II time.
Yeah, I think it was like in the 40s, right?
Yeah. So this doctor has the impression that in research this still occurs in some way or another. So
Yeah, and that's,
So
thou shalt judge the sins of the fathers on the children, or something like that.
Right. So that was a little interesting. I tried to explain to him it's a long ways away from that day. There's many procedures in place to prevent such
You know
an
what?
occurrence.
The Tuskegee Incident, I did a video like when I first started the Clinical Trials Guru in 2010 about this, but I forgot the dates. It was an infamous, unethical, and malicious clinical study conducted between 1932 and 1972. So it was a study that went on for 40 years by the U.S. Public Health Service.
Sure.
Not by Pfizer, not by J&J,
But
by the United States government.
the most
The purpose of this study was to observe the natural progression of untreated syphilis in rural African American men in Alabama under the guise of receiving free health care from the United States government. The study was conducted to understand the disease's natural history throughout time and to also determine proper treatment dosage for specific people and the best time to receive injections of treatments. Yeah.
Okay. So 72 then, and it ended in 72. There hasn't been an incident like that since. That's when they started putting these regulations in place to prevent this from occurring. So 50 years, right? Give or take, 50 years ago. So we're still a long ways removed from that time.
Right. This was before IRBs came about. This was
no informed consents, that you were fully aware of what was happening, what to expect. So yeah, this is not occurring.
The 40-year study was controversial for reasons related to ethical standards. Researchers knowingly failed to treat patients appropriately after the 1940s validation of penicillin was found as an effective cure for the disease. The revelation in 1972 of study failures by a whistleblower led to major changes in U.S. law and regulation on the protection of participants in clinical studies. Now studies require informed consent, communication of diagnosis, and accurate reporting of test results.
Right.
So this was a pivotal moment, a 30-year moment, but 1972 is when the situation started turning for the better.
So I didn't hear you state whether or not they gave syphilis intentionally to them. It makes it sound like that's not the case,
So,
which I thought it was.
Yeah, investigators enrolled in the study a total of 622 impoverished African American sharecroppers from Macon County, Alabama. Of these men, 431 had previously contracted syphilis before the study began, and 169 did not have the disease. The men were given free medical care, meals, and free burial insurance for participating in the study. The men were told that the study was only going to last 6 months, but it lasted 40 years.
Okay, so nobody was given syphilis intentionally, just those that had it were not treated
Well,
appropriately.
let's see. After funding for the treatment was lost, the study was continued without informing the men that they would never be treated. None of the men infected were ever told that they had the disease, and none were treated with penicillin even after the antibiotic was proven to successfully treat syphilis. So they were just observing the men. So it doesn't sound like they give the healthy people syphilis, but they could have cured them of it.
Right, the ones that
all
had
of them.
it. Right.
Yeah,
The
all
ones that had it,
431 could have been cured with syphilis.
Highly inappropriate, but it's just not what I recall. I thought they had given it to them intentionally.
Right, no. There's a lot of I kind of vaguely remembered that, but yeah, I mean, it's bad all the way around. By 1947, penicillin had become standard treatment for syphilis. Choices available to the doctors involved in the study might have included treating all syphilitic subjects and closing the study, or splitting off a control group for testing with penicillin. Instead, the scientists continued the study without treating any participants. They withheld penicillin and information about it from the patients. In addition, scientists prevented participants from accessing syphilis treatment programs available to other residents in the area. The study continued under numerous U.S. public health supervisors until 1972, when a leak to the press resulted in its termination. The victims of the study, all African American, including many who died, 40 wives who contracted the disease, and 19 children born with syphilis. So there's still victims from this today.
Well, thankfully, syphilis is curable.
Right.
It's just the progression, if untreated, is horrendous.
Yeah.
Usually, eventually results.
Well, look how far we came from 1947 to 2018. I mean, we're talking patient centricity now. They're actually talking about patients helping design protocols. Like, it's completely different. So, all this to give context for this doctor's concerns, right?
Yeah, the concerns he's concerned about are not a concern.
And so it comes down to education, right?
Which I try to do.
Yeah, with a lot of these doctors, I mean, they're educated, but if you're a site owner or someone that wants to be a site owner or someone trying to recruit physicians for your clinic, you're going to have to educate them on research, because there's still a huge stigma, and deservedly so. I mean, these things were going on by the U.S. government, so there's a lot of skepticism out there from the general public, but also from doctors, because they're part of the general public too.
Sure.
They hear these things, and they're like, you know what, research just sounds shady. So that's where you got to come in with the Office for Human Research Protections, IRBs, informed consents.
And the grand picture is overall, how do you think new treatments are developed? Right? If this research isn't done, then nothing new will be developed.
Well, the Tuskegee syphilis study led to the 1979 Belmont Report and the establishment of the Office for Human Research Protections.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was his concern. So now, I guess that call went well, because the doctor wanted a meeting with the site director. Okay.
Correct.
So now the site director is asking us some questions. So step one, how do we determine what's fair to compensate the PI? And I'm going to send him our webinar on this. And also the fees, step 2 and 3 and 4. We've done webinars on all 4. But so compensation, step 1. How do we determine what's fair?
Well, I mean, you have to reach an agreement, right? I mean, the PI could demand 80%. That's not fair, and you'll have to explain why it's not fair. But I guess you could take the approach of how sponsors negotiate budgets, right? What's the fair market value? And I would say it depends on the situation. If you, as the site owner or director, or both, in this case both, if you're not having to pay any expenses, then the range is probably somewhere between 30 and 50% of the budget, right, to the PI. If the PI is paying all the expenses, then somewhere between 30 and 50% of any given study budget. If they're not paying any expenses, or if you're paying the expenses, you're renting some office space from your PI, you're paying a portion of the electricity bill and so on, then it's more like 20%. I would say it's fair. You disagree?
No, I agree. So I'm going to send him that webinar for step 1. Number 2, step 2. Filling out feasibility questionnaires, site qualifications. So he's asking, how do we do this? And the better question he should be asking is, how do we even get to the point where we can do this? Because doing the feasibility survey is relatively simple once you've done one.
Well, even if you haven't done one, it's straightforward.
And we've done a webinar on this also, so I'm going to send it to him. But for everyone listening and watching, we're giving and by the way, I have on the YouTube channel, I have a playlist. So you can click on playlist and you'll see all the webinars we've ever done.
Okay.
I think there's 13 now. We do one a month.
All right.
So, but just the Cliff Notes version.
So, like Dan said, first you have to get a CDA. So, how do you get a CDA? Well,
what's a CDA?
It's a confidentiality agreement.
Yeah, I was actually asked that question last week by one of our business partners. He owns a site with us and didn't know what a CDA was.
That's an issue.
And he's been doing business for 7 decades, maybe 6 decades.
Who was this?
I went to the hospital, met with him.
Oh.
You didn't know
Well,
what a
okay,
CDA
so
was.
that makes more sense. He's not involved in the operations at all.
But they're used in other industries. But when I
Sure.
explained confidentiality disclosure agreement, he understood.
Right. So it's basically a secrecy agreement. You're not going to go around and discuss anything of importance about the study with competitors.
Right. So, how to get to that point is straight biz dev.
Yep.
And that's where we were talking about that toll booth that we created, like the fast track.
Yep.
Or you can just do it yourself, clinicaltrials.gov. That's the 10-lane highway.
Now we have a
That's
little,
congested. Bumper to bumper traffic on that shit. Right?
but we have it a little easier than that because we
But we
have,
open up a fast track for you, $1,000 a month.
well, not
We
only,
do all the biz dev for you.
not only that, but if you're new to this industry, you don't have the connections we have, right?
Right.
You're not going to have sponsors emailing you saying, hey, would you like to do this study? Anybody in your network like to do this study? It's not going to happen if you're new, right? Your only source is clinicaltrials.gov.
Your only source is that 10-lane bumper-to-bumper traffic highway
Right.
that everyone's on. Your goal is, once you're in the industry long enough, you get like a free fast track pass.
Yeah, it's passive.
It's a good analogy,
Sponsors reach out to you and say, hey, would your PI like to participate on this study?
Mm-hmm.
We worked with you in the past, and we think you do a good job on this study.
So, BizDev, I got another webinar just on that, and another one on filling out surveys. So far from the 3 questions, we've done a webinar hour length with slides
Yep.
on each of those topics. Let's continue.
Well, let me just
All right.
finalize the overall questionnaire, the feasibility questionnaire. So once they find an interest, if they've taken an interest in your site, you'll receive a feasibility questionnaire after the CDA. And the feasibility questionnaire is rather straightforward if you know research, right? If you don't, you're going to get confused on some of the questions most likely, right? Do I have a local or a central IRB? We get that question all the time from research naive clients. But if you know research, they're simple enough to fill out.
Okay. Next question. The PI, how do we make sure that he gets an adequate storage room for investigational product? And for ambient, refrigerated IP, what kind of setting do we need? The storage type and the IP type is dictated by the protocol. And then this question is more about the layout and the equipment. So we actually have another video on this.
Yeah.
I'll send you that as well. But again, a Cliff Notes version of that. So
He actually lists everything you need for the most part in his email.
right, but let's give them a Cliff Notes. So you need a clinic. You can't do this in your house. You can't open a research site in your house. There's nothing in the guidelines that say you can't, but you're never going to get a study in your garage.
See, I would disagree with that. I think you could, as long as it's like a phase 4, where a CRE never comes to your site. I think you could, right? We've had a couple of those studies where the CRE doesn't come, and they don't pay well.
Do you think anyone's ever done a phase 4 study at their house?
I think it's possible.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it more, wouldn't put it past some of these people.
Yeah. You couldn't do a phase 3 or 2, there's just no way.
Right. But a phase 4 observational, you can do it at your house?
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Okay.
Kind of off on a tangent here.
Yeah, but taking that aside, so you need a clinic, you need a building like we're in now, which we've done a tour of this clinic for YouTube, and I'll send you the links. Or if you're listening, you can go on theclinicaltrialsguru.com, and there's a tab that says start your own clinic, get equipment, and it lays out all this stuff. And you'll see the video too. But you need a clinic, you need a space for the coordinator, you need a private room for the CRA when they come. You should have like a sink because you're going to have to process labs.
And some counter space.
Some counter space for a centrifuge. You're going to need a room that's double locked, temperature controlled for the investigational product. You're going to need a locked refrigerator for the refrigerated IP, investigational product. You're going to need a freezer, -20, sometimes -70 for PK samples.
Yep.
Right? And that's really it. You need a CLIA waiver, you need or a CLIA cert.
You forgot to mention you need an exam room.
Yes. Okay, you need an exam room with a exam table and ideally one ECG machine, although many studies provide that for you. But it's still, not all do. So
it's getting less and less.
Right. Yeah, because they assume you have one now.
Right.
So you should get an ECG machine. They're like $3,000 for a new one.
They're as cheap as like $400. They're not great.
The ones we bought were like $3,000.
Brand new, yes.
Yeah.
You don't need, but it would be nice to have, is a conference room.
Conference room, yeah, that's next. like a room like this, or like the one we actually use. This is not really used for anything right now, except podcasts. Conference room, so that when they come for a site selection visit, everyone can sit in one room. The monitor, the PI, the coordinators, whoever else is involved in the study, and they could discuss the protocol and discuss the site's capabilities. So that's what you need as far as the equipment. And step 4, all about patient recruitment, which we've again done a 1-hour webinar on this. Where do we get the patients from? This is like a very vague question, but patient recruitment.
Right, it could come from somebody's database, whether it be the site or one of the doctors participating on the study with you. Mm-hmm. It could be from a referral network, doctors that you've made relationships with to get patients from. Or it could be from advertising.
Or a combination.
Absolutely.
Right. Did you say referrals?
Yeah, referrals from your physician networks.
Say PI?
Referrals from,
There's our PI right there.
Yeah, referrals from even participating patients are often very good. Sometimes the most difficult, I would say usually the most difficult patient to get is the first patient. Mm-hmm. Because that one patient that you get will have depending on the trial, will give you some ideas on how to get other patients, or will refer patients.
Right. All right, that's good. Good podcast, all in all. Got into the Tuskegee experiment, brushed up on that because I knew a lot about that in 2010 when I was doing a lot of patient-facing stuff.
She can't see us in here.
Yeah, I know. There's our PI just walked in. Good. Thank you, Chris.
Wait. Why don't we close it out with Clinicon?
Be my guest. We started it with Clinicon.
Yeah, close it out with Clinicon.
Close it out. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know, something.
Go support it on Kickstarter.
How much is it going to cost if you attend?
You can support it for as little as $50. You can attend. If you want to attend, I think it's $500 to get you like a breakfast with us there, mm-hmm. and then you'll pay for the attendee cost, which is going to be $1,600. So
$500 would be breakfast.
Breakfast with me and you. We're only limiting that to 20 people.
Okay.
That's $500. Whether you're a site owner, someone that wants to start a site, someone that wants to be a CRA, someone that's transitioning from a CRA to a site owner, someone transitioning from a coordinator to a CRA. I don't know. It'll be as long as we need to.
When everyone leaves breakfast happy. We have other things to do that day.
No, that'll be the day before the conference.
Oh, so there's nothing else planned that day?
No.
Okay.
It's gonna be. We're going to go
so
as long as.
So it could be 2, 3, 4 hours.
5, 6.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we'll get lunch too.
Okay. So $500. That gets you that particular
item. I mean, you still gotta pay for your flight to Orlando, and you gotta book a room for the conference. Okay. I mean, if you're there and it's the day before, you might as well go to the conference.
And the conference costs
$1,600.
And is that for all days?
Yes. Okay. 4 days of this thing.
Okay.
Action packed.
And some of the events at the conference will be specific to different components of research, right? Like to sites.
Yeah, we're gonna have different training rooms. Like if you're a CRA looking to transition to be a site owner, we got one for you. If you're a study coordinator looking to transition to be a CRA, we got one for you. If you are a site owner that wants to expand your site, we've got one. If you want to start a site, we've got that. If you want to just improve your skills when it comes to recruitment, I mean everything.
Okay.
How to get studies. We're going to do speed dating with sponsors and sites. We're going to facilitate that.
So 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so $1,600 gets you all of those events and days.
4 days of that.
Okay.
That's $1,600 if you support the Kickstarter.
Does that
if you wait till like the day of the event, it's going to be like $3,000.
Okay. Does that $1,600 also cover your room?
No. It does not. But on the Kickstarter, let's see. Open recent.
Sorry.
No, that's good. I need to know. 1,600 registration package. Okay, so here's the 500 for people that want to be CRAs, coordinators, or site owners. A breakfast with Dan to discuss strategies. We'll limit that to 20 people, because it might go all day.
Right.
It might be breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
And we'll pay for it all.
We will?
We'll have Tim do it. He's the conference guy. He'll
Okay.
put on his tab. We'll tell the restaurant. 1,600 gets you a conference registration package for one. Includes access to all the training, exhibit floors, meals. You get meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and breaks. So we're providing that. Transportation from and to the airport. We got limos picking you up. This is only if you support through the Kickstarter. Okay. Name badge and swag bag. And access to the on-site application and pre-conference website and post-conference website. We're going to extend this conference even after it's over for the entire year online until the next year. If you support at that level, you get our Site Owner Academy for free.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, that's another perk we give. So there's a lot of benefits to doing it on the
So it does not include room, but it does include food, which I'm surprised, but it doesn't include
includes
room.
food, including breakfast, lunch, dinner,
Right.
and breaks.
Which I didn't expect.
Yeah, but not the room. But the room's not expensive. It's Orlando. There's a hotel room at every block.
Well, they have to use the hotel room at where the conference is.
They don't have to.
No, I
They
think
can go to any.
Well, that makes no sense then, because we're guaranteeing the hotel.
Right, we're
rooms.
hoping that most people do, and they'll be given discounts because of the conference.
Do you recall? I don't recall. Do you recall the cost for the rooms? It's like $200 a night.
200, and that's because of the conference discount.
Right.
Because it would normally be like 250 or 270.
Right, but
or
it's like
300.
it's around 200, right? Maybe a little
Yeah.
bit less or a little more, but
Yeah.
it's right around 200 a night.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I thought.
So if you register, we have a discount code for the conference.
Right.
But if you, of course, you can stay anywhere. I mean, you just
Sure.
if you live
Well,
in Orlando, you can stay.
We prefer you stay at the hotel.
Of course, if you're gonna travel and you need a place to stay, you might as well stay at the hotel where it's a
It's more
discount.
convenient,
And it's probably cheaper than Airbnb at that point with the conference discount.
and all your food's provided.
Yeah, but that's provided anyway, even if you don't stay in the
Sure.
hotel.
But
Now, if you pay $3,000, you get conference registration for two. So everything above
$200
for two
discount.
people. $200 discount now.
Right.
At the day of the conference, this 1,600 will be like 2,600.
Right. Okay, so 2 more questions. I know I asked
Alright.
quite a bit more, but
Keep them coming.
CRO. Are we providing anything to a CRO?
Yes.
What?
Access to sites.
Sure.
Strategies for how they can get sponsors. Now that we've done it. Yeah.
I don't know if we're what I would consider an expert on that.
We're
but
not, but we're gonna have experts there.
True.
We're gonna have biz dev people that are freelancing and looking for commission only to get studies for CROs.
Okay.
Now, it's not gonna be anyone like IKEA wanting to hire, but maybe. But it'll be like all the mid-sized CROs.
Okay.
People like IKEA are gonna want access to the talent, like the coordinators that want to transition to CRAs, they'll be there. People like IKEA are gonna want access to the existing CRAs that they could poach from other companies.
Sure.
They'll be there. And sites, access to the sites.
Okay. So lastly, sponsors. Do we offer anything to sponsors?
Yeah, the same thing I mentioned to the CROs, and also how to make sure that your CRO is doing what they're supposed to do,
Okay.
because we do know how to do that.
What about established sites?
A lot.
Okay. Yeah, you already covered that. Okay. What about CRAs? Established CRAs. Do we offer anything there?
Yeah, it depends what they want to do.
They just want to learn more about their position.
Yeah, we can teach them how to earn more.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How are we going to do that?
Transition to an independent contractor,
Okay.
if that's what you want.
Okay.
I mean, we figure out what they want, and then we reverse engineer strategies for them to achieve that. Do you want to make more? Do you want to work less? Do you want to do a combination of that? Do you want to transition into like a project manager or lead CRA? We got stuff for you.
How many workshops are we doing?
A lot.
Like 16, right? 4 a day?
Yeah,
I think
there's
that's
going to
what
be
he
a
said.
lot. I'm sending this to Tim actually since we've discussed it. I'm going to say, Tim, listen to the last 10 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, once we get the funding, we're going to scope out all the workshops.
Kind of concerns me a little.
But you and I don't teach all of them.
Most of them.
No, we're going to make our rounds to all of them, but we're going to have people that are teaching it.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, like Shanae would be great for teaching series how to transition to be contractors, right? Like there's people, like Brenda would be great for series how to open a site. We've got plenty of people.
Okay.
to teach.
One thing, since
But we will go to every single workshop. You and I will make our rounds.
one thing that concerns me, since you're sending this to Tim, Tim, this is directly to you.
Hello, Tim.
So, it kind of concerns me that the price doesn't include the hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
I want to raise the price a little and include the hotel room. Because we're guaranteeing so many hotel rooms are going to be purchased.
Well, the idea is that if someone's spending $1,600 and a flight, that $200 a night's not gonna
Be a concern.
because they're gonna have to go somewhere
Sure,
anyways.
sure.
And it's gonna be cheaper at the hotel than at Airbnb
Alright,
and more convenient. That's right there.
okay.
And it's SeaWorld
You
Renaissance.
know, I have no clue how this works. So
You
you're
can see
getting
Shamu from your room.
no argument from me.
SeaWorld Renaissance. Never been, but Shamu's gonna be right there doing backflips.
Oh yeah?
So will Chris and Dan if we can pull this off.
I don't know about doing a backflip. I'd kill myself, but
I'll try.
you can break your neck. Hello, Christopher Reeve.
Hey, don't get me too excited.
You think you're Tyreek Hill now?
Tariq Hill's amazing.
Did you see that one catch?
Yes. No, I didn't.
He ran into the end zone and did a backflip.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I didn't see where he fell on his head and had a concussion scare.
Okay,
You were giving me the play-by-play. I was driving.
right.
Okay, that's it.
That's
Anything
it.
else?
No, that's it for me.
Clinic on 19 is exciting. Kickstarter link is not even live yet, but it will be live in the next few days. So be prepared, everybody.
Yeah.
theclinicaltrailsguru.com. You'll see a conference tab on there. We'll make it big banner on the top. All right. Thank you. Take care. That was good. No?
Yeah, it's good.
Now we can go holler at Fry.
So, do you know any